Hi everyone, Mandy here. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to Reformer Pilates or thinking about going to your first class, make sure you watch this video until the end. I'm going to offer you 6 tips as well as a beginner's safety guide to the Reformer machine to make sure you feel confident, safe, and ready to dive into your first class. Let's get started. My first tip to anyone who's new to Pilates is to try to explore the option of having a private or one-on-one class with a certified Pilates instructor. This is especially important if you have any pre-existing conditions, injuries, or if you are pregnant. However, if this is not available to you, it's totally fine to go to a group class as well. Just make sure you arrive 10 minutes earlier to the class begins and let your instructor know it's your first time there. It doesn't matter if you have practiced before in other studios, the machines, the sequence, and the rules may all be different in the new studio. So this is a good opportunity to also call out any injuries or conditions that you may have to the instructor so they can provide you modifications or options throughout the class. Most studios will also offer first-timers a beginner's high-level walkthrough of the Reformer machine. Make sure you pay attention during then and understand what each parts are called and how to navigate that throughout the class. But don't worry if you can't remember any of that. You can still ask the instructor throughout the class. My second tip is the actual Reformer machine walkthrough. I know you will probably get that walkthrough in your first class, but it's unlikely you can remember all those lingo in the first time you hear them. So it's good to start early and start preparing that. And each Reformer machine is quite different, but I think the key components are all the same. So they usually consist of the foot bar, which is where your feet and your hands will go, the springs, which is the part that you adjust to create different spring tensions, the carriage, which is the moving part, the biggest part of the Reformer machine, and the platform, which is a smaller, stable platform that your feet and hands can place safely onto. And then you also have your shoulder blocks and headrest where your shoulders can lean against and your head can rest onto. So they all sound pretty self-explanatory, right? But trust me, in your first class, when the instructor calls out the different names, you might still get a little bit confused. So getting comfortable with the names of each part will make sure your first class is much smoother and you can follow the instructor's cues much more easily. My third tip is to have a quick understanding of what springs do. So springs are what creates tension in the Reformer machine. So they will likely make your exercise harder or easier depending on what level of springs that you put on. Different models have different colors of the springs, but the most typical ones that you will see is red, blue, and yellow. Red is the heaviest spring, it's a full spring. Blue is half a spring, so it's the medium resistance, and yellow is the lightest, which is a quarter spring. You don't necessarily have to remember all of that because the instructor will give you the options of which spring to pop on, and they already know you are a beginner, so they will provide you a beginner's guide. But feel free to call out if certain spring tensions are way too hard or sometimes too easy for you. You can still adjust them throughout the class. My fourth tip is safe mounting and dismounting. I know that sounds really basic, but it's important. So we mentioned earlier on the Reformer, there are 2 parts, one called platform, one called carriage. So in a lot of the side split kind of movement, you will have to split 1 foot on the platform and 1 foot on the carriage. So if you are stepping onto the machine from the floor, make sure you step onto the platform first and then the other foot onto the carriage, which is the moving part, less stable part. Likewise, if you are stepping off the carriage, make sure you step off with the foot on the carriage first onto the floor so that both of your feet are on something stable. So move slowly and mindfully, never jump on and off a machine. My fifth tip is that never copy your neighbor. I know it's super tempting, especially if you're in a group class. You see your neighbor doing already the next version that's more advanced and that looks really cool, and you just want to copy them. I get it, but just listen to what the instructor is cueing and keep doing what they have been offering, not try to jump into something too advanced. Move with control and mindfulness, and it's not about a show off or competition. Everyone's body is different. You don't know their background. They may have been doing this for years. So just focus on your own practice and enjoy the moment. My last tip is make sure you wear something that's workout friendly. Nothing too baggy because it might get caught in between the springs or the carriages. And also make sure you research or call the studio ahead of time if they have a socks policy. So a lot of studio will ask you to wear socks on their reformer machine. In that case, you can pre-purchase your own, or I think a lot of studios nowadays, they sell that in the front desk. So you can just buy that there and then as well. So there you go. That's my overall beginner's guide to reformer. I hope you find this video helpful. If you like more content like this, feel free to subscribe and drop a like. And comment below after your first class. Let me know how it went and if you can think of any other tips for the newbies out there. Until next time, take care.